Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. I hope you're all doing so well. Welcome back to another true crime and makeup episode. Today we are covering a very harrowing case. Like, it is one that's hard to listen to, it was hard to get through, but it honestly just felt like such an important one to cover, so I really wanted to bring it to you today. We are covering the case of Jennifer Daugherty. She was a young woman from Mount Pleasant of Pennsylvania, and while she was a kind, happy soul, there was some difficulties in her life. She did have a mental disability which did impair her cognitive function, and she had the thinking and understanding of a 12 to 14-year-old. Jennifer was just someone who loved everyone. She wanted friends, she wanted a huge group of friends. She just wanted to live a normal, happy life. She seen the good in everyone when they didn't deserve it, and ultimately, a horrific group of 6 monsters would see these qualities in Jennifer and completely take advantage of her. This led to a night of torture, abuse, sexual abuse, and ultimately her death. If you are new here, hi, my name's Anna, I am a certified japper, and one day I just decided to hop on the internet, talk about true crime, find a community of people who were interested in the same stuff, and I think I found you. But before we do jump into Jennifer's case today, please leave a comment down below, leave a like. So if you do enjoy true crime, I highly suggest you subscribe with the notification bell on, because I'm here for you twice a week, every single week. Also, isn't this makeup given like Kim Possible? Do you know that cartoon, Kim Possible? It's given Kim, I think. Is it? Let's put up a photo. And I just want to say thank you so much for all your love and support on all my content. It honestly means the entire world to me, and to know that I have people in my corner who want to see me do well is just incredible. So thank you so much. But without any further rambling and any further ado, let's get into the case of Jennifer Daugherty. So I'm kind of thinking that I maybe want to do a green and black look today. I can't put down the dark lipstick, like I cannot step away from it when I'm doing these videos, and like it's not something I would wear outside, so it's quite nice to get a bit creative on camera. But thinking green and black, I have a vision, but at the same time I don't really, so we're just going to wing this. So Jennifer Daugherty, she was born on November the 8th of 1979, and she was born in Mount Pleasant of Pennsylvania. In their home, she had lived with her mother Denise and her stepfather Bobby Murphy. She had 2 sisters by the name of Joy and Jamie, and also a stepbrother by the name of Dave. Now, Dave was Bobby's son. Why could I not think there? But Dave was Bobby's son. And Jennifer had 2 gorgeous little nieces that she completely adored, named Brianne and Bailey, and then she also had a little nephew called Dylan. Now, anytime someone spoke about Jennifer, all they could say was nice things about her, like she was extremely kind, she was loving, she was caring, she was so outgoing. She wanted to be friends with anyone. She was also extremely trusting in nature, and she just believed that everyone had the best intentions in the way that she did, which of course we know isn't true. And if anyone was like unkind or nasty to Jennifer just assumed that they were having a bad day, and she would try harder to be even nicer to them to see if she could make their day better. Another thing about Jennifer is she really craved friendship. Like, she so badly wanted to belong to a group of people who loved and accepted her the way that she did with everyone else. And in her childhood and even adolescence and adulthood, Jennifer had so many different interests. Like, she really enjoyed watching scary movies, which, oh my god, we could totally bond over, because scary movies are like the only movies I watch. She also enjoyed wrestling and also had a passion for college football. She would watch like every single game that came on. And when asked about her, Jennifer's mother had said that she was extremely outgoing, she was really fun, she made friends very easily, and she just loved to sing and dance. But the main thing about Jennifer was the kindness that she brought to people. She was like a sunshine, like a ray of sunshine in everyone's day. And when she met, you know, good people who were nice and kind like she was, they would bond straight away. But the only thing that Jennifer had to be careful of is that people didn't take advantage of her kindness and of her good nature. And Jennifer, she was this sunshine and rainbow for people, but she hadn't had the easiest life either. I mean, Denise and Bobby, they had given her a great childhood. They raised her so well. As a human, her soul was so pure. But the thing that would be a struggle for Jennifer is she did have a mental disability, and this really impaired her cognitive function. So at the time when Jennifer had her life stolen from her, she would be 30 years old with the mind of a 12 to 14-year-old. So like, that is half her age. Actually, sorry, that is more than half her age at that point. So while she might seem like a grown woman, a grown adult, she was very much still naive and innocent, and she doesn't really see that there are really bad, unkind, nasty monsters in this world. Jennifer, despite her mental disability, this did not hold her back. Like, she still had the most positive outlook on life. Like, she was truly inspirational, and she always had this longing for a sense of independence, and you know, she wanted to live her life as normally as her peers did. She wanted to have friends, she wanted to have boyfriends, like she just wanted to live a normal, happy life. And Denise and Bobby, they trusted her. Of course they did. Like, Jennifer has given them no reason to not trust her. But they couldn't trust other people. And of course, with Jennifer's mental disability, it did make her more vulnerable. And, you know, they did have to look after her. But they still wanted to grant her that independence that she had longed for. There was even talks that in the future she might be able to live by herself, get herself a nice little apartment. They would have helped her. And this was all things that Jennifer was striving for in her future. And Jennifer's sister, Joy Daugherty, when speaking about Jennifer and, you know, how she made friends and things like that, Joy did say that Jennifer just wanted to be part of a group. She just wanted to belong to a group, and it didn't really matter who was in that group or what kind of group that was, because Jennifer, as always, is going to see the best in people. So she's not going to see if a group's a bad group, if there's a few bad eggs, or, you know, if they're taking advantage of her. She's not really able to decipher the good from the bad. So as I was saying, with Bobby and Denise, they want Jennifer to be able to live independently. They really do. They want her to have the life that she wants. And whilst they would take care of things like her finances, just to make sure she wasn't being reckless or giving money away and things like that, they would look after her financial affairs. They even got her benefits payments that she was entitled to. And this ultimately gave Jennifer a bit more freedom to do the things that she wanted because she had money to do them. And a lot of these things that Jennifer wanted to do, she could go off and do by herself. So there she is, getting that bit of independence, but still being closely watched by her family just to make sure everything is okay. And honestly, Bobby and Denise could not have done a better job with Jennifer. Like, there was nothing that they could have done in this situation to prevent what happened to Jennifer, because they truly did and gave Jennifer everything that she would ever need. And whilst Jennifer did struggle with certain aspects in her life, she was more than capable. Like, she could utilise public transport to get herself to her dental and doctor's appointments in Greensburg, which is around 10 miles from Mount Pleasant of Pennsylvania. So she would take the bus, go there by herself, and also come back by herself. And her mum and dad really trusted her doing that because she had done it so many times before, and she proved that she was ready. Now, Jennifer had told her family as well that while she had been in Greensburg, she had actually made friends while she had been there, and she kind of made them aware of this in early February of 2010. And as I had said, Jennifer would go there quite frequently for, you know, dental appointments, doctor's appointments, counselling appointments. And while she had been here, she had met quite a few of this group at a community centre. And this community centre did have groups focused on people with disabilities or mental disorders. Now, the first friend that Jennifer had made was a woman by the name of Peggy Darlene Miller. Now, her and Jennifer had met at the community centre that I was just talking about. Now, Bobby and Denise, whilst they are happy that Jennifer has made friends and seems, you know, to be quite happy with the situation, they can't help but wonder, you know, what is this group's intentions? Who are these people? What are they like? Do they treat Jennifer well? Are they actually nice people? Or does Jennifer just think they're nice? Because Jennifer thinks everyone's nice. And whilst they do have these concerns, which is obviously very normal for parents in their position, They're also really happy for Jennifer because they can tell how happy she is that she's made this group of friends, and after all, this is something that she's longed for the longest time, to have a group that she's friends with, to have a group to belong to. And Jennifer right now feels like she's maybe found that. So I just want to do a little disclaimer here. The timeline for this particular date, it gets a bit murky. So some sources say it was the 8th of February 2010 and other sources say it was the 9th of February 2010. We do know the date that things took place and the date when Jennifer would be discovered, but the date of when it initially happened, I'm not entirely sure. If you know, please leave it below and I'll pin the comment, but I tried my hardest to find it and for the love of God, could not. Most sources that I've read say the 9th, so I'm going to go with that, but please do correct me if it's wrong. So on the 9th of February 2010, Jennifer tells her mum and dad that she wants to go and stay at a friend's apartment. This friend is Peggy. So Jennifer says to her parents that this apartment was over in Greensburg, which worked out perfectly for her because the very next day she had a doctor's appointment that she had to attend. So it works out well. She'll go to the sleepover, be with her friend during the day, go to her doctor's appointment and then head back home to Mount Pleasant on the bus. So on the morning of this trip, Jennifer takes an envelope to write a little note to her parents on the back of it. So she basically writes down the contact details and the address for Peggy's apartment, which obviously gives her parents this false sense of security because they know if they need to get to Jennifer, they know where to go. If they're a bit anxious and want to talk to her, they can give her a call there. With the address, Jennifer had also left a note for her parents to say, "I hope that you will have a very good day at work and I also love you very much. I will talk to you sometime later." This note, this would be the last communication that they would have with Jennifer. So Bobby, Jennifer's stepfather, he takes her to the bus station to drop her off. She gives him a kiss on the cheek, she says goodbye, and then off she goes to head for her bus. And this whole experience for Jennifer should have been amazing. It should have been lovely. She should have had the best time. But this time at the bus station with Jennifer was the last time that Bobby would ever see his stepdaughter alive. And the note that was left for Denise is the last thing she would hear from her daughter. Now it would turn out, however, that the apartment that Jennifer was going to didn't actually belong to Peggy. It belonged to a man by the name of Ricky Smyrns, or Smyrns, or Smirnoff, I don't know, right, I can't say his name, and I don't care about learning his name because he is a complete evil, vile monster. And it would later be said that it hadn't actually been Peggy that was texting Jennifer to lure her to the apartment. It had apparently been Ricky. So when Jennifer arrived to the apartment, there would be, quite a big group of individuals there. I mean, including Peggy and excluding Jennifer, there would be 6 individuals, so Jennifer would make it 7. So there was Ricky Smyrns, obviously it's his apartment, Peggy, Robert Lauren Masters Jr., Melvin Knight, Amber Meidinger, again, monster, don't care, and also Angela Marinucci, who Jennifer had actually known for a couple of years. And of course, walking into such a big group for someone like Jennifer, this made her happy. And devastatingly, unbeknownst to Jennifer, these 6 monsters that sat in front of her, they would be the reason that she would lose her life. They would steal her life away from her. And before we do get any further into the case, I just want to quickly go through these 6 sick monsters, who they are and what we know about them. So starting off with Amber Meidinger, she was born on January the 12th of 1990 and she was a girlfriend of Melvin Knight. Now Melvin Knight, he was born on the 27th of October of 1989 and Melvin did have somewhat of a troubled childhood. His father was in prison for most of his childhood and Melvin had also had an accident at the age of 5 where he had fallen out of a moving truck and hit his skull off of the concrete. And with this injury, he did end up with lifelong learning and social problems. So Amber and Melvin, they had met at a homeless shelter in January of 2010. Now Melvin, let's just say Mischievous Melvin, he was no stranger to breaking the law, and he had actually met Ricky Smirnoff, whatever you want to call him. They had actually met each other whilst they were serving like a sentence in the same prison. Prison besties. Now, I will say we do seem to have the most information on Ricky Smirns. I don't know why that is. I think it is because there's maybe a lot more happened in his childhood. But he was born on March 6th of 1986. And it has been reported that his mother was a drug addict and also a sex worker, and his father was apparently a gang member in a gang in Pittsburgh. Now, throughout his childhood, he would be in and out of foster care homes. He was also being treated for various mental illnesses since the age of 4. And Ricky Smirns, his family was apparently filled with neglect and physical abuse, and this would last up until the age of 10, when he would be taken in by the Smirns family. Now, Ricky would also claim that he suffered from physical and sexual abuse at the hands of his father and uncle, and he said by the age of 6 he had tasted beer, he had tried cocaine, he had tried heroin, and apparently he was smoking marijuana at the age of 6. And Ricky, he even had a protective order filed against him by his ex-girlfriend because he had smashed a water pitcher over her head before then attempting to rape her. He is sick, evil and vile, like, cannot say it enough. And his ex-girlfriend had stated that Ricky would be particularly scary and abusive when he wasn't taking his medication. Even Ricky's own mother was so scared of him, like she was terrified. And one time Ricky had even threatened to kill his mother when she had went over to his apartment to get back her items that he had stole from her. The audacity of this man, like, he's like, Mum, what do you mean you're coming to collect the items that I stole from you? How dare you? Rude. Now, also another important thing to note is at the time that Jennifer was devastatingly and horrifically murdered, Ricky was actually married with a child, but he was also dating Angela within this little monstrous group. Then we've got Angela Marinucci, who was born on July the 14th of 1992. Now, she had also suffered from a head injury, but this was at the age of 15 when she was apparently hit by a truck. Like, what is it with trucks in Pennsylvania? Like, are you all not driving safe when you're doing truck work? But also, low-key, if you're a truck driver in Pennsylvania and if you did hit Angela or Melvin, you should have reversed and ran back over them. Who said that? Me. According to Angela's mother and her sister, they said that Angela's behaviour completely altered once she had this head injury, and she was severely depressed, which made her turn to alcohol and drugs at a very, very young age. And like, listen, I just want to say, it's okay for you to feel bad for these people in their childhood. Like, you're allowed to feel bad for people for having a crappy childhood, but we cannot excuse what they do later in life, because I, and I'm sure you, know people who have had a terrible, horrific childhood, who've grown up to be these amazing people who care for others, look after people, love them unconditionally. We all know people like that, or maybe you are that person that had a crappy childhood who came out the other end and vowed to never treat anyone else that way. These rubbish, crappy childhoods cannot be used as an excuse for who these adults end up being and the crimes that they end up committing, because we all know someone, or we are someone who has suffered very much the same, or sometimes even worse, and we come out the other end and decide that we're not going to be that way. We're not going to let that define us. You can have a crappy childhood and be the most amazing person in this world, and that is why we can never excuse these monsters. And I will be honest, I wasn't really able to find much on Robert Masters or Peggy Miller, but I did get their date of birth, so like, counts for something, right? So Robert, he was born on December the 22nd of 1973, and Peggy, she was born on February the 3rd of 1983, and bearing in mind, Peggy is the one that Jennifer's known for a long time, the one who she originally formed a friendship with when they had met at a community centre for people with mental disabilities and mental disorders. So it's February 8th of 2010 and Ricky, he meets up with Amber and Melvin. Now Amber at this point, she is pregnant with Melvin's child and they had been staying at a hotel in Greensburg, and when Ricky hears this, he's like, oh, I'm friend of the year, why don't you two come and stay with me at my apartment? Amber and Melvin, they're thinking, this is great and it would be nice to, have friends around us whilst we're going through this growth of a child. Yeah, sure, we'll come over. And you know what? Amber also knew Jennifer from one of these facilities that they had both frequented. So sometime before this date, Jennifer was talking to Amber, because like I said, they knew each other from the facility. So they're talking to each other and they're having, kind of like gossip. Jennifer's getting all excited because she's just gossiping away, as we all do. And she apparently, and let me state, apparently tells Amber that she's going to marry Ricky Smartens. Now, who overheard this but Angela? At this point, no one knows that Angela and Ricky are dating beside Ricky and Angela. And Angela gets her wee panties in a knot. She's like, oh my God, Jennifer's making moves on my man. We can't be having that. So Angela at this point is absolutely fuming because what do you mean Jennifer apparently wants to marry Ricky who belongs to her? I think Ricky might belong to his wife who he is married to. You don't own him. He belongs to no one actually because he's no loyal to anyone. Now listen, my question is, did Jennifer really say this? Did she actually say this, or is this all just a big fat lie that they use to try and excuse their disgusting and evil behaviour toward her? And even if Jennifer did say it, is it really that deep? After all, Ricky's a married man. Jennifer, let's remember, has the thinking and understanding of a 12 to 14-year-old. That sounds to me like a young girl with fantasies. We've all done it. We've all said, oh, I'm going to marry Sylvester Stallone. Maybe that's just very niche for me, but he was my dream man. But we've all said it. Am I going to marry Sylvester Stallone? No, of course I'm not. Like, it's all said in childlike innocence and fantasy, and we have all done it. So at this point, Amber notices that her friend Angela is quite upset, right? So her and Ange, they go away and have a little chat, and this is when Angela tells Amber that she is in a relationship with Ricky Smirnoff. And when Angela tells Amber this, Amber's like quite shook because, what do you mean you're dating her friend who is a married man? Now, at one point, Amber says that she overhears Angela on a phone call to Ricky, and she hears Angela say, you better not be with that bitch. Language. And obviously at this point, Amber's thinking that she is meaning Jennifer, because Jennifer had apparently said that she wanted to marry Ricky. And do you know what? Do you know what's even more crazy? Is reports claim that Ricky had actually told Jennifer that he loved her and that he wanted to marry her too. But I don't know if that was kind of like entrapment. Like he was trying to get Jennifer under his spell as well. And the thing is, it could be possible. It could be possible that Jennifer said she wanted to marry Ricky. Because let's remember, people, she has the mind of a 12 to 14-year-old. She wants to be accepted. She wants to be loved. She wants to be adored. Is that a song? Is that the Stone Roses? Anyway, she does. She wants to be adored. And if Ricky's giving her all of this emotion and feeling, then yeah, she might believe that she loves Ricky. Now, it would be after all of this that the six of them would head back to Ricky's apartment, and that is when the call was made from Ricky to Jennifer, inviting her to stay over at the apartment. And in my honest opinion, this is how we know that this murder is absolutely premeditated. It just seems like there's been so much thought, so much conversation going on behind the scenes. This is 100% premeditated, and they try and claim that it's not. Like, just own it. Strap on a pair and say it with your chest. Now, of course, because Jennifer's been invited over by a boy, she doesn't exactly want to say to Denise and Bobby that a boy's invited her over to stay, because most likely they wouldn't have allowed that, and rightfully so. Like, Jennifer is such a vulnerable person, like, they can't really afford to take risks of her going and staying with people that they don't know, especially boys. Now, I just want to point out that we will never truly know what events transpired that night, because all we have is the statements from the 6 monsters who committed this horrific evil crime. And of course, with Jennifer no longer being here to tell us the true facts, we'll never really know. But this is apparently how everything went down. Can we just also ignore the fact that I've stained my under eyes green from dropping all the green eyeshadow on me? Kind of looking like a, what is it? Mutant Ninja Turtle? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Yep, that just came right back from my childhood. So Ricky, who clearly thinks he's some kind of stud, he says that Jennifer had made advances to him that night. Jennifer had apparently asked Ricky to have sex with her. And apparently Ricky, he outright refused, and he was furious that she would even say this because he has a girlfriend and a wife. Now, despite Ricky being, apparently furious with Jennifer, Jennifer did still decide to go ahead and stay at the apartment that night. Again, the way Jennifer is and how her brain works, she maybe did think that she had done something wrong to Ricky, and most likely she would have been acting extra nice and really trying to make it up to him, even though she hadn't done anything wrong. Jennifer, she gets up and she goes for a shower. Now, when she hops in the shower, this is when Ricky decides that it would be a very good time to call Angela and let Angela be aware of the sexual advances that Jennifer had apparently made. So Angela hears this and she is absolutely furious. Like, how dare someone want to have sex with my boyfriend, even when he has a wife? And honestly, I just want to be like, Ange, you do understand that his wife most likely doesn't want him having sex with you either. So, like, take your head out your ass, okay? You're no important here. So Angela, absolutely fuming on the phone, she says to Ricky, do not let Jennifer leave that apartment because I'm coming over to fight her. Calm down. Oh, take a break, have a Kit Kat, like, the drama. At the apartment at this time, the entirety of the group was present, apart from Angela, who was still storming over. Like, she's on her way, but she's pissed, And devastatingly, this would be when the most horrific crimes imaginable are committed to Jennifer. Once Angela gets there, everything just gets so sinister so quick. So the group, they're waiting on Angela arriving, and they decide in the meantime, this is when they're going to start tormenting Jennifer. So Jennifer's still in the shower at this point, and the group, they ransack her purse. They poured mouthwash and toothpaste into her purse. Melvin grabs the cash and also any gift cards that she has in her purse. Amber then proceeds to take Jennifer's cell phone, and then the group ruin all of Jennifer's clothes. They pour mouthwash and toothpaste over them as well and proper smear it in with their hands so it's like impossible to get off. And like, to some people this kind of thing might not seem like that big of a deal, but see, to me, I just think it's so humiliating. That's exactly what they're doing at this point in time. They're trying to humiliate her. Like, she's gonna walk out, they're all laughing and joking, all of her clothes are ruined, her purse is ruined, her stuff's been stolen. It's just like that ultimate humiliation that just makes you feel like, I'm actually not part of this group. Like, these people don't actually like me. So Jennifer, she's out the shower and she comes through and, sees what they've done. And Melvin, he then turns to Jennifer, hands her some money, which is the money he stole from her purse, hands her money back, and demands that she goes and buys him cigarettes. And to start with, Jennifer's kind of like, no, like, I'm not going to go out and get you cigarettes. Like, I've just been in the shower. Like, I just want to relax. Still with this innocence and naivety about her. But she gets this vibe that bad things could happen if she doesn't do what she's told, and she just wants to make everyone happy. So she takes the money and apparently she goes off to get Melvin his cigarettes, and then she returns home with them. Now, when Jennifer has returned to the apartment, Ricky and Melvin, they start throwing plastic bottles at her head continuously, and the rest of the group, they're all laughing away thinking this is hilarious, whilst Jennifer starts to get really distressed. They won't stop, and eventually, apparently, Jennifer whispered under her breath, calling them assholes. Quite rightly so. Hearing this, Melvin and Ricky, they grow furious. How dare she speak back to them? Melvin in particular, he flies into this complete rage. He gets Jennifer, shoves her up against the wall, and begins to strangle her. And he just keeps going until Jennifer eventually just crumbles to the ground and bursts out in tears. How could her friend do this to her? Why would he do this to her? What has she done to deserve that? And it's horrifying because once this terrifying ordeal was over for Jennifer, the terror had really only just begun. And then in barges Storm Angela, just ready to put the house up in the air. She is still absolutely fuming with what she's heard about Jennifer. So once she arrives, she forces Jennifer into the bathroom alongside Amber. She's confronting Jennifer and then she proceeds to hit Jennifer over the head with a metal towel rack 3 times and then starts punching her in the chest. Now Angela, the twisted, evil, sick little rat that she is, she tells Amber that not only does Jennifer love Ricky, she also loves Melvin and wants to sleep with him. Jennifer completely denies this. She says it's not true. She actually says that she doesn't like either of them, Ricky or Melvin, does not like them like that, because she's a loyal friend. But Amber and Angela were not hearing any of this. And at this point, Ricky and Melvin, they decide that they're going to join in. They want to get in on this sick torture. So they come through and they drag Jennifer out of the bathroom and then they proceed to pour water, spices, oatmeal all over her head, just again to humiliate her. They then force her to shower with her clothes on, force her to get in the shower and rinse it all off, telling her that she stinks, she smells, she's revolting, she's disgusting. Whilst they've did this to her. Once Jennifer was out of the shower after she had rinsed off, the group force her to remove every single bit of her clothing. So she is completely naked now, and they take the clothing from Jennifer and they throw it out the apartment window. Angela and Ricky, they then proceed to cut all of Jennifer's hair off. Her head was essentially shaved, which again is another humiliation tactic. It's like taking away something that identifies her. I know for a fact that my hair for the longest time has been like my identity, right? I've always had really long hair. I don't anymore because I've kind of grown out of that and I did cut quite a lot of it off. But like just a couple of years ago, my hair was down to my bum. And the idea of removing that made me feel like I was losing part of myself. So by doing that is just another way to degrade Jennifer and take away her identity. Once the couple had completely shaven off Jennifer's hair, they then force Jennifer to clean it up. Basically tell Jennifer, because it's her hair, it's her mess and she should clean it up. Why would she leave her hair around the apartment? The hair that they removed from her. And devastatingly, once Jennifer had cleaned up all of her hair that Ricky and Angela had cut off, they then take her into the living room where a sock was stuffed into her mouth and Melvin proceeded to rape her. So now Ricky and Melvin, they forced Jennifer to go up and hide in the attic because the person whose name's on the lease of the apartment, they were coming back to collect some items. So they were like, we need to hide her, we need to get her out of the way so no one suspects what it is that we're doing up here. Now the tenant comes over to collect the stuff and the group, obviously knowing what they're doing and the fact that Jennifer is in the attic naked with her head shaved and has just been raped, they start getting a bit like ratty with the person that's come over to get their belongings and they're getting a bit aggressive. So leaser of the apartment, I don't even know what you say, but they contact the police to come over whilst they're collecting their stuff. So police come over, they sort out the altercation and then ultimately the person who is leasing the apartment and the police leave. Jennifer is still there in that attic. Now listen, I don't know if someone was there with her to keep her quiet, but it is just awful to know that help was right below her, but it was still so far away. She could not get help despite it being so close. That in itself is torture. So Ricky, Amber, Melvin and Angela, they all leave for a bit of time to go and pick up Angela's medication because Angela wanted to stay at the apartment that night. So in the meantime, it was Robert and Peggy who was basically put in charge of watching Jennifer. They were given strict instructions that Jennifer is not allowed to leave this apartment. The four of them, they get Angela's medication and they are heading back to the apartment. And this is when Peggy made a phone call to them saying that Jennifer was trying to escape. Now the group tell Peggy, keep her there, do not let her out of your sight, we're on our way back. And the four of them, they sprint in complete desperation because they're no finished with their torture. They want to get back and torture Jennifer some more. So arriving back at the apartment, Ricky and Melvin, they just start to beat Jennifer so brutally. Now Melvin at this point, he's particularly angry because he says that because of Jennifer, Amber, his pregnant girlfriend, passed out on the way here because she had overexerted herself racing back to the apartment. Well, Melvin, you complete, utter, monstrous asshole. Your pregnant girlfriend wouldn't have passed out if you weren't racing back home to torture someone. If you weren't torturing someone in the first place, your girlfriend wouldn't have passed out. And it's like, again, they're placing this blame on Jennifer, like Jennifer did something wrong by trying to escape, like the audacity that she wanted to leave this horrific environment and save herself. Now, poor Jennifer, she begged and pleaded with these captors, like they were no longer her friends, and I think she could see that at this point. She begged and pleaded with them to stop. She told them that she had a really sore head. They fed her bipolar medication, which was going to do absolutely nothing to alleviate the pain that she was feeling, the pain that they had inflicted. After they give her this bipolar medication, the group all head off to bed. They leave Jennifer in the living room, naked, cold, and terrified. So the next morning, the group, they wake up and there's some kind of outburst that takes place over Coke, as in like the drink, I'm assuming. And of course, Jennifer, being their punching bag, starts to get the blame for whatever's happened here. Angela immediately jumps on top of Jennifer, is sitting on top of her and repeatedly punching her in the face. Now Jennifer, who would not hurt a fly, who would not do anything to hurt anyone, she knees Angela in the stomach. And honestly, Jennifer, you shouldn't have stopped there, you should have kept on going. So Angela, who's not pregnant by the way, starts shouting out loud, my baby, you just killed my child, you've killed my baby. What baby? You're not pregnant. And then Melvin, he comes over, he's shouting at Jennifer and he's saying, if you want to kill my kid, why should I let you live? I don't know what the script is here, right? But Angela says to Ricky, you have to choose between me and Jennifer. And Ricky calls what he names a family meeting, right? And at this family meeting, they all wanted to deliberate, what kind of mother would Jennifer be? Where's the relevance? How is that relevant to this? Like, I don't get it. But they're all chatting away, talking about what kind of mother Jennifer would be. And then he holds a second family meeting. And this time he wants some thoughts, feelings and opinions on whether or not Jennifer should get a drink because she said that she's really thirsty. But does she deserve a drink? This is what they're discussing now. This young woman who has done absolutely nothing wrong apart from being a good person, whether she deserves a basic human right. So ultimately the group decide, yeah, okay, Jennifer can have a drink. But these vile monsters, they would make the most horrific drink for Jennifer to consume, and it is just the worst thing you'll hear. So the group yet again have some sick, evil plan and they drag Jennifer through to the bathroom. Now Angela, she had peed in a cup and this is Jennifer's drink. She tries to force it down Jennifer's throat, but Jennifer's not complying. She's trying to fight back, get it away from her. She doesn't want to consume that. And then Amber, she proceeds to pick up the metal towel rack and hit her over the head with it and force it down her throat until she drinks it. Now immediately after this, Jennifer is gagging, she's being sick, she's hanging over the toilet, of course. And this infuriates the group because they think that she is being ungrateful. They think that she has not been grateful enough for this drink that they so kindly gave them. And so they make her another drink. This second drink, This was made up of urine, feces, spices, parsley, garlic, and yet again, Jennifer was held down whilst this is being forced down her throat, and when she's not drinking it, Amber is right there hitting her with the towel rack until she consumes it. And they're not finished here. Not by a long shot, they're not finished. They decide that they're going to make her a third drink because she was still being ungrateful. She didn't appreciate the first drink or the second drink. This third drink would be made up of bleach, washing detergent, water, and then some of Amber's medication, that bipolar medication. She again was being forced to consume this whilst being battered with this metal towel rack, and they kept going until she vomited it all up. And apparently this humiliation that they were putting Jennifer through and this torture that they were putting her through just wasn't enough. They hadn't hurt her enough yet. They hadn't humiliated her enough yet. And so they decide they're going to string her up like a Christmas tree. So they take working Christmas tree lights and they wrap it around her in a way that it looks like she's the Christmas tree. You know, like if she's standing up, it's like wrapped all the way up from her feet to her head. And Angela, when they turn these on, she decides they're not blinking the way that I want them to blink, so we're going to remove them and rewrap them. Then she's like, actually, do you know what? I don't want to rewrap the Christmas lights around her like that. It's not working, so let's just bind her hands and her wrists together. Once Jennifer's wrists and legs were bound together, they then proceed to tie her up with a Christmas garland. And whilst the group is doing this, Peggy, the evil monster that she is painting the entirety of Jennifer's face with nail polish. Could you imagine those fumes all over your face, getting in your eyes, getting in your mouth, up your nose? Like, how can you do this to someone? So Ricky, at this point, he decides that he needs to hold a third family meeting. And this meeting would be to deliberate whether or not they should kill Jennifer. And all 6 of these monsters, all 6 of them that had pretended to be her friend, that had lured her here under false pretences and false hope of friendship, every single one of them voted in favour of murdering Jennifer. Once they had made this decision that they were going to murder Jennifer, they had planned to make it look like a suicide. As if they could get away with that with all the injuries that she's endured. Like, did she cut and shave her own head? Did she beat herself up? Did she string herself up with Christmas lights? Like, honestly, get a brain about you. Like, how do you think this is going to work? But they forced Jennifer to write a suicide note. And I will read just now what this suicide note says, and it's just heartbreaking. So on this suicide note, Jennifer states, I haven't been very happy for a while, and I also feel like everybody will be better off without me on the earth. I will always love my mom and stepdad no matter what, and I will always love the rest of my family also. My nieces and nephews would be lucky to have a better aunt than me. I am done with life. Goodbye. I'm just going to take a second for that because... So Jennifer was then led into the bathroom by this group. Ricky proceeds to hand a steak knife to Melvin and just says, you know what you have to do. At first, Melvin kind of hesitates, but not for very long, and he proceeds to repeatedly stab Jennifer. He stabbed her in the throat, the torso, the chest, and he did this multiple times, and then he says to Ricky, this bitch won't die, even still degrading her while she is dying, while she is slipping out of consciousness because you are taking her life away from her and yet you are still degrading her. Now, because Jennifer wasn't dying from these injuries, Ricky wanted to speed up this process, and he and Melvin grabbed an end of the Christmas lights, wrapped it around her throat, and then they both pulled in opposite ends to strangle her to death. They hold another family meeting where they discuss what they should do with her body, how should they dispose of her body, and Angela, she says, why don't we take her to the front of a church and set her on fire to burn in front of this church? And they're all kind of giddy, they're all kind of enjoying the thought of this idea. But Ricky and Melvin think, that's too risky. We need to do something that's more discreet. So they choose to wrap Jennifer up in plastic trash bags and throw her in a trash bin on a school parking lot. That was apparently the best way to dispose of Jennifer. So then on Thursday, February the 11th, around 6:30am at the Greensburg Salem Middle School, a truck driver was on his way to work when he realised that there was like a trash bin stuffed under his truck. And of course, if he wanted to get to work, he was going to have to remove this from underneath. So he reaches in and he's pulling on this like trash bin to get it out from under his vehicle. And this is when the lid pops off and he is just hit with this foul, strange odour, which of course was coming from poor Jennifer's body, not just because she was dead, but because of the things that they put on her, the things that they made her eat. There was just this horrific smell. Now this man can see right away that inside here is a body wrapped in trash bags. So the police are called and they arrive shortly after, and Jennifer's body is sent away to a forensic pathologist to, determine what's happened to her. Now luckily there was a snowstorm at this point, so the schools were off, which meant that no school children had to bear witness to this horrific incident. Now, the forensic pathologists, they were able to determine that the fatal wound that essentially killed Jennifer was a stab wound that she had received that punctured her left lung and also her heart, and this caused a substantial hemorrhage to take place in her body. Now, they did say that the stab wound, but also the amount of drugs in her system was a fatal dose. Actually, it was more than the fatal dose. So that stab wound essentially was the thing that killed her. But if that hadn't, it's likely that the drug overdose would have. Now, I'm sure we all know what it's like when something happens, news spreads like wildfire. And once the story gets out, the police, they start receiving these reports from occupants of the apartment complex. They tell police that during the night they were hearing what sounded like thudding, fighting, screams. It sounded like people were constantly coming and going from the apartment, that sounded like people were drinking and like partying. And they had said that these thuds and the banging were so loud that they felt like their ceiling was going to cave in on them. Once the occupants of this apartment complex, when they realised what had happened and what had happened to Jennifer, they were overwhelmed with guilt. And one of the occupants in particular, they were very overwhelmed with guilt because the Christmas tree lights that were used to string up Jennifer, they had actually been stolen from her porch, and she just could not get rid of this sense of guilt, this sense of responsibility, because it was something of hers that was used to tie her up, but then also to strangle her to death. So that very same day that Jennifer's body has been found, Angela receives a text off a friend, basically saying, "Oh my God, did you hear about that body that was found at the school?" And immediately, Angela starts to panic. But also at this point, Jennifer's family's very, very concerned because they're made aware that Jennifer didn't attend her appointment that day. Like she was meant to. She was meant to attend that appointment and she was meant to come home, and she didn't. So Jennifer's sister, she gets the contact information that Jennifer had left for Peggy in the apartment, the address, etc. So she calls Peggy's phone, Peggy picks up and says, "Where's Jennifer? We've not heard from her. We would have expected to hear from her by now, and she had an appointment that she's missed." Peggy's all caught off guard, freaking out a wee bit, and she just lies in the spot and says that Jennifer had left, she doesn't know where she is, and basically don't call again because they don't know where Jennifer is. And this makes Jennifer's family very, very suspicious. Peggy also receives a call from Ricky. Now Ricky's saying to Peggy, "Get out of that apartment immediately. Angela and I have been arrested." And although he's given Peggy this warning, the police know the group that they're going after. And shortly after the arrest of Angela and Ricky would be the arrest of Amber, Melvin, Peggy and Robert. So at first, when the six of them go in, right, they're trying to be all noble and present a united front, like we're in this together till the end. We didn't do anything wrong, they never did anything wrong, like I can vouch for my friends, they're completely innocent, like nothing happened. But then of course this, united front, this would crumble like a cookie, they would fold like a deck chair, and all of them started to sing like Johnny Cash. And of course they start pointing their fingers left, right and centre at each other. So police, they decide to attend Ricky's apartment because they want to try and find some evidence of this crime being committed. And my God, they basically walk into a treasure trove, right? Because it's all there, everything to see. The murder weapon, they found that very, very easily. They found it basically right away, and they could tell that it had been used to stab Jennifer. I just say this apartment was an absolute state. The six of them claimed that they had tried to tidy up and, clean up, but it's literally giving when I was 7 years old, would tell my mum that I'll tidy my room, you don't need to tidy my room, and then I would just shove everything under the bed or in my wardrobe. Like, ta-da, messes away, and then you open the wardrobe and it falls on you. It's given that. So Angela is being questioned, right? And she says that, yeah, her and Jennifer, they briefly fell out because Jennifer was making moves on her man. But ultimately, she was like, no harm, no foul. They hugged it out. They moved on. But Angela said the rest of the group, they were furious with Jennifer. They were furious that Jennifer would try and take Angela's man. How dare she? But why are they fuming and she's not? Make it make sense. It doesn't. So she's saying like, yeah, they were furious, but I didn't do anything to Jennifer. I would never have touched Jennifer. Then Angela proceeds to say, the rest of the group tied her up and I only punched her in the face. But Ange, you just said you never hurt her at all, and now you're claiming you punched her in the face. Do you see why this makes you look bad? Please just know that every single one of them is talking BS, and very soon they are just knocking blocks off their Jenga tower of lies until they get to the very root. So first they're able to get Melvin to admit his part in this murder, which essentially was the stabbing Jennifer to death. Ricky, he admitted to disposing of Jennifer's body, but said he was accompanied by Melvin. Bearing in mind he has inflicted a lot of torture on Jennifer up to this point. So Angela was arrested, and her initial incarceration before her trial, she was handing out confessions like jelly beans to inmates. She couldn't wait to tell them that she was responsible, she was the instigator, and she was the one who murdered Jennifer. Angela Marinucci would end up being the first of the Greensburg Six that would be convicted for Jennifer's murder. So at first, Angela was sentenced to life in prison. However, this would later be overturned because she was only 17 at the time of the crimes. And they said that, it wasn't really fair for a juvenile to serve a whole life sentence. But then maybe said juvenile shouldn't have tortured and helped to murder a supposed friend. In 2017, she would be sentenced to life in prison again. This was then overturned yet again because, she can't get life without parole. Well, I think that's the point, that she doesn't ever get out. We don't want to parole her. But in 2022, Judge Rita Hathaway, she would impose the third and final sentence, you could say. So this would include consecutive prison terms, the first one being 40 years to life, and then an additional 20 to 40 years imprisonment for conspiracy. Which, can I just say, that's getting off lucky. Every single one of these people should have been given the death penalty. Every single one. Now, Ricky Smyrns, whatever his name is, and Melvin Knight, they were both sentenced to death by lethal injection. Both of them have tried to appeal their sentences, but ultimately their convictions have been upheld, so we're just waiting on them jumping on that wee board and doing a wee night-night. Then Amber, she would plead guilty to third-degree murder, and apparently this was against her defence's recommendation. They told her not to plead guilty to third-degree murder, but she ultimately decided that she wanted to. So she would receive 40 to 80 years in prison, which again should have been given the death penalty. And she proceeded to testify against Angela, Melvin and Ricky, and it's important to say that she didn't accept any sort of deal for this. She just went ahead and testified against them. And people say like, oh, well, obviously she had a conscience, like she regretted what she did. Too little too late, my friend. Ain't happening. I still want you getting the death penalty because you took away an innocent life of a beautiful girl who did nothing but be nice to you. You can testify against Angela, Melvin and Ricky, but you are still a despicable monster. Now, Peggy Miller and Robert Masters, they also pled guilty to third-degree murder, whatever. Peggy, she received 35 to 74 years in prison, and then Robert had received 30 to 70 years in prison, but you know, fry them, in my opinion. Now, ultimately, that does end the case here, but as always, I want to do a whole 360 and let's just bring it right back to Jennifer. This beautiful young woman, so full of life, had her whole life ahead of her, so full of love. She wanted to live a normal, happy life. She wanted to have friends. She wanted to one day have a husband, you know, get married. She wanted to experience life and hopefully one day have a child. She was a kind of person who would do anything for anyone and expect nothing in return. And the way her life was stolen from her. It'll never make sense to me how these amazing people are targeted and taken advantage of for being nothing but kind and nice to everyone. Jennifer's death has had such an impact on her family. They say that when it snows outside, they're just remembered of that horrific day that they found out their daughter was murdered. They can't enjoy the snow. All the special holidays like Christmas, birthdays, they've just lost their meaning because they've lost a part of themselves. When Jennifer left this earth, parts of them left with her. I really just want to finish off by reading a quote from Jennifer's sister that she had said, and I think it perfectly sums up their grief. I didn't realise at the time how she did add to life until she was murdered. Her absence is indescribable. The music is gone. The sun still shines and the earth still moves, but the music is gone. And I think that perfectly sums up what this family has had to go through. Like, the world keeps turning, people get on with their lives, but ultimately the melody in their lives, the thing that made their lives worth living, was stolen from them. But that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is a really hard case to listen to. The details are horrific, but I just really wanted to cover this case because I wasn't actually aware of Jennifer before this case was recommended to me. And now that I have read about her and got to know the kind of person she was, I just wanted to share her with my audience, and I want you to remember her as well. And if you're ever in a position in life where you can see someone who's been beaten down and needs a hand up, please remember Jennifer's kindness and approach everyone with that. But I really appreciate you watching this video today and sticking with me through this, because I know it was a tough listen, but like I said, I just really wanted to share Jennifer with, you know, the world. I know my videos don't go very far, but I've got an audience from all over the world, and I just wanted to really get her name out there to the people who maybe haven't heard of her case. Before you go, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, put the notification bell on because I upload 2 times a week, every single week. Don't forget to leave a comment down below for me to really help boost that engagement and get me out in the YouTube algorithm, because why does it hate me? But I am so incredibly grateful for each and every single one of you because you support me wholeheartedly. You always like, you always comment, you share, you send new subscribers my way, you recommend me to people, and I'm just so thankful I can't even describe. In the description below you will find all the details of the products used on my face today alongside my social media handles, my Instagram, my TikTok if you want to give me a follow over there. I'm actually going to leave a Google Doc that I've created down below because some people are having issues where their emails aren't coming through on my email for some reason. So I'm going to link a Google Doc down below and you can just put your case suggestions on there. And if you are trying to reach me on Instagram or anything, just let me know in the comments that you've sent a DM so I can head over and check. Otherwise, if it goes into my requests, I get a lot of weird people in my requests, like wanting feet pics or inviting me to inappropriate live streams, so I don't really check in there because it's always quite horrifying. So if you just let me know that you've sent one, I'll go over and check. But that is it for today's video. Please remember, be a good person, do not be a bad person, stay safe, look after each other, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!